Here are 25 story games on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 that are absolutely worth your time in 2026. Let's get into it. Starting things off at number 1, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade brings one of the most celebrated RPG reimaginings of the last decade straight to Nintendo hardware. The Intergrade version includes the full base game plus the Yuffie episode, and on Switch 2, it runs with noticeably sharper performance. If you love cinematic storytelling mixed with fast action combat, this is the one that sets the bar for everything else on this list. Number 2 goes to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, a massive open-world JRPG that puts the story front and center from the very first cutscene. You follow 6 soldiers caught between 2 warring nations, and the writing here is genuinely thoughtful about themes like life, purpose, and sacrifice. The world is huge, the combat keeps growing the longer you play, and the emotional payoffs in the main story hit harder than most games twice its size. Coming in at number 3, Hollow Knight Silksong finally arrived, and it did not disappoint. You play as Hornet this time, navigating a brand new kingdom called Farloom, filled with more intricate level design and tougher bosses than the original. The storytelling is mostly environmental, pieced together through exploration and lore, and that minimalist approach works beautifully. If you put hours into the first game, this one will grab you just as hard and hold on even longer. Number 4 is Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn Edition, which brings the full base game plus the Beyond the Dawn expansion to Switch in one complete package. The story follows Alphen and Xion from 2 completely different worlds who team up to end a conflict that has defined their lives. The relationship writing between the 2 main characters is genuinely well done, and the action combat feels great in handheld mode especially. This is a long game, and it earns every hour. The 5th spot goes to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which still holds up as one of the richest narrative open-world games ever made. Playing as Geralt searching for his surrogate daughter Ciri, you are pulled through a sprawling world where almost every side quest has real writing and actual consequences. The sheer density of meaningful story content here is staggering, and having it fully playable on a handheld in 2026 still feels like a small miracle. Number 6 is Persona 5 Royal, which consistently ranks among the highest-rated story games on Switch across every major platform. You play as a high school student who leads a group of phantom thieves changing the hearts of corrupt adults through a supernatural dimension called the Metaverse. The style is incredible, the music is iconic, and the characters are written with enough depth that you will genuinely care about all of them by the end of the 100+ hour runtime. At number 7, Fire Emblem Three Houses remains one of the best tactical RPGs ever released on the platform. You play as a professor at a military academy, forming bonds with students across 3 rival houses, and the route you choose changes the entire second half of the game dramatically. The storytelling rewards multiple playthroughs in a way very few games manage, and the combination of strategic battles and character development keeps the pacing consistently engaging from start to finish. 8 on the list is Hades 2, which builds meaningfully on everything that made its predecessor so acclaimed. You play as Melinoe, daughter of Hades, pushing through procedurally generated underworld levels while uncovering a story told through countless interactions with a massive cast of characters. What makes it special for narrative fans is that the story actually progresses no matter how many times you run and fail. Every death adds something, which is a brilliant design choice that keeps you invested. Number 9 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which arrived on Switch 2 and brings an authentic globe-trotting adventure set between Raiders and The Last Crusade. Machine Games built a game that captures the tone of the films with genuine craft, mixing exploration, puzzle solving, and close-quarters combat in environments that feel handcrafted and full of detail. If you grew up watching Indy, playing this one feels like stepping directly into a chapter the movies never got to tell. Coming in at number 10, Mixtape is the kind of game that sneaks up on you with how much heart it has. From the creators of The Artful Escape, it follows 3 friends on their final night together before going their separate ways, set against a killer 1980 soundtrack featuring Iggy Pop and Joy Division. The storytelling is grounded and emotional without being dramaturgical, and the stylized visuals make every scene feel like a memory you want to hold on to a little longer. At number 11, Trails in the Sky First Chapter is a complete remaster of a JRPG that originally released over 2 decades ago, and the new version on Switch plays and feels completely fresh. The narrative follows Estelle and Joshua as they travel across the country as bracers, and the writing is dense, detailed, and genuinely funny in the best ways. For fans of story-heavy JRPGs who want a slow burn that rewards patience, this is one of the strongest options available on the platform right now. Number 12 is The 100 Line: Last Defense Academy, a tactical RPG that leans hard into mystery and branching narrative. Your decisions shape which of dozens of potential endings you reach, and the game has a staggering amount of content built around those choices. The tone shifts between lighthearted and genuinely tense in ways that keep you off balance, and the relationship dynamics between characters add real emotional weight to every strategic decision you make. 13 on the list is Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2, which is genuinely impressive to experience on a handheld. Night City is one of the most realized open worlds in gaming, and V's story of survival, identity, and mortality is carried by strong writing and voice performances throughout. The fact that this level of game runs on Switch 2 at all is worth celebrating, and if you missed it elsewhere, this is a completely valid and satisfying way to experience the full story, including the Phantom Liberty expansion. At number 14, Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age is the definitive version of one of the best traditional JRPGs of the modern era. The story follows the Luminary, a hero reborn into a world that fears rather than welcomes him, and the narrative takes genuinely surprising turns for a series known for its classic sensibility. The orchestrated soundtrack, the charming cast, and the sheer polish of every system make this a standout recommendation for anyone who loves story-focused turn-based RPGs. Number 15 is Amnesia Rebirth on Switch 2, a story-driven horror game set in the Algerian desert that trades the haunted castle of the original for sun-scorched ruins and alien dimensions. The narrative is deeply personal, centered on fear, grief, and survival, and the environmental storytelling is exceptional. It is less focused on jump scares and more committed to sustained dread and emotional stakes, which makes it one of the more mature narrative experiences available on Nintendo hardware. At number 16, What Remains of Edith Finch is a short but profoundly affecting game that puts pure storytelling above everything else. You explore the Finch family home, uncovering the stories of relatives who each died in unusual circumstances, and every chapter is presented in a completely different visual style. It takes about 2 hours to finish, but those 2 hours contain some of the most imaginative and emotionally resonant game design you will find on any platform, at any price point. 17 is Dispatch, the superhero comedy adventure from the studio made up of former Telltale developers that quietly became a major hit after its October 2025 launch and subsequent Switch port. You play a dispatcher coordinating heroes in the field, and the story is built almost entirely around dialogue, choices, and relationship dynamics. It is genuinely funny, the characters are well written, and it scratches that Telltale itch better than almost anything else currently available on Switch. Number 18 is Lost Records Bloom and Rage from Dotnod, the studio behind Life is Strange. The game alternates between 2 timelines, following a group of teenage friends in 1995 and those same women reconnecting decades later to confront something they buried. The nostalgic atmosphere is beautifully realized, and the writing focuses on friendship, identity, and the things we choose to forget. For fans of quiet, emotional storytelling with strong character work, this is an easy recommendation. Coming in at number 19, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition brings the open-world action RPG originally released on Wii U to Switch, with updated content and smoother performance. You crash land on an alien planet called Mira with a small group of human survivors, and the story slowly expands into something genuinely ambitious in scope. The world itself is one of the most impressive in the series, and for players who missed the original, this version is the definitive way to experience it. At number 20, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake takes a foundational JRPG and makes it accessible and visually stunning for a new generation. The narrative is a classic hero's journey, told with just enough heart and surprise to feel fresh even decades after the original. Square Enix's HD 2D art style gives the whole game a gorgeous storybook quality. and the quality of life improvements make the experience smooth without sacrificing what made the original beloved by so many players worldwide. Number 21 is Kentucky Route Zero, a surrealistic narrative adventure that unfolds across 5 acts, following a truck driver searching for an address that does not seem to exist. The game is unlike almost anything else available on Switch, using its quiet, dreamlike presentation to explore themes of debt, community, and the weight of the past. There is very little traditional gameplay here, and that is entirely the point. It is closer to an interactive piece of literature than a conventional game. At number 22, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar is a farming and life sim wrapped around a genuinely charming story of rebuilding a declining town through a revived bazaar market. The character writing is warm and specific, and the seasonal rhythms of the game give the narrative a natural pacing that makes it hard to put down. It launched as a Switch exclusive in 2025 and became one of the most talked about life sim releases of the year, earning praise for its heart and gentle storytelling throughout. 23 goes to Deltarune, Toby Fox's ongoing sequel to Undertale, with chapters that continue to expand a story about a teenager, a prince, and a monster exploring dark parallel worlds. The writing is sharp, funny, and emotionally layered in ways that sneak up on you completely. What makes Deltarune especially compelling is how naturally the narrative grows across chapters, with each new installment deepening characters and raising stakes in ways that reward players who have been following from the beginning. Number 24 is The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered, which brings one of the most story-rich open-world RPGs ever made to Switch 2, with completely updated visuals and all of its story expansions included. The main quest involving the closing of Oblivion gates is dramatic and well told, but the real depth is in hundreds of hours of guild quest lines, side stories, and characters that feel alive in their own right. For RPG fans on Switch 2, this is an enormous amount of quality narrative content in one package. Rounding out the list at number 25, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection takes the beloved action RPG spin-off series in a deeper narrative direction. You bond with monsters called monsties rather than hunting them, and the story explores a world disrupted by a phenomenon that is twisting the nature of the creatures that inhabit it. The turn-based combat is accessible but has real depth, and the emotional core of the story about connection, trust, and what it means to understand something different from yourself lands with genuine warmth.